Michael Ogechi Abbey with Enterprise Express Tax Service. Today we're talking about itemizations. The question most times is should you itemize or should you not itemize? And it depends on a couple of things. One thing I'd always advise taxpayers to do is to download a form. It's an IRS form called the Schedule A. Uh, Download that form and take a good look at the different sections of that form. It'll give you a very good idea of what you can itemize and what you probably cannot itemize. Things have changed over the years. Back in 2018, when President Trump introduced his new tax act, a lot of the itemizations that were, you could itemize in the past sort of went away. However, in place of that, the standard deduction increased. And so what people need to understand is if you take the standard deduction, that's what the government's giving you as a basic standard deduction. Now, if the standard deduction increases, then it's quite possible that you may have an advantage in just taking the standard deductions as opposed to itemizing. And one thing you need to understand is that you can't double dip. You've got to either do the straight standard deduction or you can itemize. I'll be honest with you, most times people may be better off itemizing because on the Schedule A, you've got your mortgage interest that you pay that can be itemized. You have your real estate taxes that can be itemized. And then if you give a lot of stuff to like Salvation Army, Goodwill, those donations, you can itemize those as well. And at some point, if you have a lot of medical expenses, usually over 7.5% of your AGI, adjusted gross income, then you may be at an added advantage if you itemize those medical expenses. So, there are very, very good situations where it's maybe better for you to itemize. However, over the last couple of years, especially during President Trump's administration, the standard deduction has increased steadily. And with that being said, you probably would need to talk to your tax preparer, your CPA, or your accountant to figure out what's best. Should you itemize or should you just stick with the standard deduction, especially now that it's gotten higher? So I hope this explains to you why you have the choice between itemizing or not itemizing and just staying with the standard deduction. Bear in mind that it's increased over the years, but do know, however, that when you do itemize, you will sometimes be required to provide proof of that itemization. For instance, if you're giving stuff away to charity, Salvation Army, things like that, make sure that you keep the receipts that they give you when you give those donations. If you're giving cash money, say to an organization, a nonprofit organization, make sure that they give you something that shows that you gave money to a nonprofit organization. And again, with your medical expenses, make sure that you keep your receipts for those medical expenses as well. Once again, this is Michael Ogechi Abbey with Enterprise Express Tax Service talking about itemizations and the standard deduction. Thanks and bye.